everyone, and welcome back to Lost in the Reel. Time for another special episode of The Throwback, where we revisit films from our past and see how they hold up.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to The Throwback. This is your host, Shawn, and
I'm your co-host, Jon.
today we are going over two classic incidental Christmas films. That means these are two movies that just so happen to take place during Christmas. What movie do you want to start out with, Jon?
Well, I'd say we start with the smaller guys, with Gremlins. Will you start us off with that, Shawn?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to be talking about what I thought of Gremlins back in the day.
Of course.
This movie I saw when I was a very small child, and I just remember being scared shitless. I was so scared of this movie. I think I probably ran out of the room or something. But then I ended up rewatching it again, actually, and we went together to go see it, when the movie theater would do those flashback movie nights where they'd play old films. We went with a big group, and I remember, having a great time with it. So what did you think about this film back in the day, John Willick?
Well, to be honest, Shawn, I don't really remember that specific time. I do remember our throwback flicks, or flashback flicks at the movie theater, but really it was Gremlins 2 that stuck with me more as a kid. I definitely remember seeing Gremlins. I didn't like it as much. Like you said, I do remember being a bit scared as a child. But apart from the fun characters and just the concept of Gremlins, I definitely like the second one more. So I was revisiting this pretty fresh.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's been probably what, like 12 or 13 years since that time that we saw the movie together, John.
Oh, that's true.
Anyways, so this time around watching it, I thought it was so enjoyable. There are points that are absolutely ridiculous and cheesy and campy in this movie, but all of it is just for good B-movie fun. I really thought that the animatronics and the puppetry were really good, but it's definitely a product of its own time. I don't know if it holds up great to today, but the fact that it is 36 years old, you can tell what a feat of imagination and how much work they put into this film way back in the day.
I think that's very well put, Shawn. It is definitely a product of the early 80s. You can and the humor, and yeah, kudos to them with the animatronics. It looked like some of the group scenes were like claymation, maybe, like when they or just, I guess, the stop motion rather is the more proper term there. But they did excellent creature creation effects, and all of it looks wonderful. Of course, a little bit is definitely cliche with how the characters act, like, "Oh, kid, it's all just an accident. You get out of here. Crimes don't happen on Christmas," you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very enjoyable, and even the cartoony stuff, like the little like cartoon birds effects when one of the gremlins hits their head or something. It was like almost like there were different realities going on, like gremlins. But I enjoyed the pop culture references, and they made a pretty good movie that I think incorporated Christmas fairly well into the storyline, to make a horror of that.
Yeah. Speaking of horror, I mean, like I said, I was freaked out about it when I saw it way back in the day, but I mean, this movie is still kind of frightening. It's definitely not for children at all.
It
Uh,
really is not.
no. But I really enjoyed the Gremlins in general. I think they were definitely the stars of the show. That bar scene when there's like the private eye and he's like smoking like a
He's got
cigarette.
a hat on and listening to jazz.
There's like
Yeah.
the little gremlin doing the hand puppets or whatever. The Gremlins are the stars of the show. The lead actors, like the guy and the girl, especially the guy, he is not very good at all. There's
No.
this scene where his mom's getting choked out by one of the gremlins, and he just like runs in and he's like, and it takes him like 5 seconds to actually react to his mom being choked out.
Seriously. He's like, yeah, and then he grabbed a Chekhov's sword off the wall. So that worked out pretty well, I guess, with lobbing the head into the fireplace and it burns up. But yeah, it was, they definitely had a lot of character in the Gremlins more so than actual like depth of character for the humans. But they played their role. It wasn't their movie.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, Sean, how many Mogwai would you rate this movie?
I would give Gremlins 3.75 Mogwais out of 5. I thought this movie was great fun. It's nothing to write home about, but it is something that I'll probably watch again, and I will also enjoy it again in the future.
I I guess what the 3.75. That's like when the little balls of that grow into more gremlins pop up. I think those two. Okay. Well, I guess I would give it probably 3.5. Not to choose a similar score to you, but you're right. It is a movie that fulfills a purpose, but not necessarily a rewatch all the time. But it was a fun time capsule.
So the next film on our list that we're going to be talking about is Die Hard. What did you think about it back in the day, John?
Well, I wasn't, I guess, able to watch it as a kid, and then it kind of slipped off my radar for the most part. So I would see a TV edited version, every once in a while, and finally sat down to watch it through as a young teenager. And I didn't remember it much. So people would always make these references about Hans Gruber and all these German stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, like, oh yeah, that's right, I remember it now. So it was great being able to revisit it now as an adult. But apart from it being just another action movie to me as a kid, I never really thought much of it.
Interesting. I definitely have fond memories of this movie. Like I said in our last video, we were an action sci-fi movie family, so this one was definitely in the list of movies that we would watch a lot, and I really liked it as a kid. I definitely thought that there was some scenes that were inappropriate for me to be watching, but my dad didn't care.
And your dad was a John Wayne fan too, right?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Oh, yeah, I can see him liking this.
But I have not seen this film since I was in like seventh grade, so it's been like 17 years or so. So it was a long time coming for Die Hard.
Well, that was about the same time I rewatched it. So, well, I definitely liked it this time. It was once again another time capsule to the 80s. I can see how this may have inspired a young-ish Tom Cruise to, want to, make his own spy movies because I think he was just doing other action stuff before. But the whole point of why I liked it so much is that it wasn't a Tom Cruise style one. John is a real person. He's, always questioning himself, not sure, but he's like, "Oh God, John, okay, let's gonna do it," and then he, jumped in there. So it was like, when he's rappelling down the building with the fire hose, he's like, "Oh, you idiot, what are you doing?" Versus Tom Cruise going down the Burj Khalifa, like, choom, 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 bah, bah, bah. you know, like, this was way more fun. You were there with him, and you're able to share in his victories more too. So, of course, a lot of the action was very fun. The fighting was great, great choreography. But I don't think this movie was what it was or what it became because of the action. It was due to the characters and to the awesome acting from Alan Rickman and, of course, John McClane by Bruce Willis. Really, he nailed it. What about you, Sean?
I am so right there with you. I was ready to like the film, but I forgot how badass this movie is. It is such a good action film. I was grinning from ear to ear the whole entire time. What I think is so impressive about this movie is it feels like it takes place in the real world. It's grounded in reality. There are some ridiculous moments, but it's not like Die Hard 4 and 5 that are so over the top. It's just it doesn't even take place on this planet anymore. This movie feels real, and John McClane feels like the everyday man, and He's the definition of an action star in this movie. He's cheeky, he's snarky, he has a heart of gold, and he kicks ass. It's perfect. I love this movie. And Alan Rickman is such a good villain.
Such a good villain who did a surprisingly good American accent. That had me cracking up. Yeah, thinking on his feet. But also, who was the real hero at the very end? That cop. He had
Same Al.
Al, yeah, he had his whole
Al.
story. Even he had a character arc. Even the limo driver played his role in it. Like, there wasn't any necessarily wasted character time. They went after it and they yippee-ki-yayed all over those terrorists.
So, John, how many yippee ki would you give Die Hard?
Well, I feel like there will people will be coming after me if I don't say 5 out of 5, but I don't give in to pressure, so I'm gonna say 4.5. Yippee ki yay!
I will also be giving Die Hard 4.5 yippee ki out of 5. I thought this was a well-paced, beautifully acted action movie that is so it's iconic because it's the definition of what you want out of an action thriller. So I can't wait to watch this again. It might become a Christmas staple for me.
They say the best Christmas movie out there, and you didn't even know it was.